Well, 13-5 is no joke. SAD Esports chose the perfect map, apparently. But, Vance, I was not expecting a scoreline quite like this.
I was.
Okay, well, me and Ash didn't. Me and Ash didn't. Okay,
No,
elaborate, relish in your
jokes
cred.
aside, yeah, like I said, they're going to trade maps overall, but I just look at the composition in itself. It was going to be a very difficult half for Blue Otters, sorry, to take on the defensive side. I got mixed up on my Blues again, so then I lagged. But that said, I think it's just due to the lack of information able to get early in these rounds. So when you're trying with this composition that is still pretty good for stalls, it seems that they were leveraging that a lot onto just trying to do a lot of these trap plays. So there was so many combinations around all of the breach utility with the deadlock and Tetejo salvos, which worked out in a couple of kills here and there. But when you're focusing so much on these on the reactive trap plays, you're also giving up a lot of map space that you don't have information for, which is why SAD Esports was able to scale around the map so easily.
Yeah, I think that not only that, but even just like on the attacking side where we saw Blue Otter starting off and having that a bit more of a difficult half, ending that one out 4-8. In favor for SAD was SAD had a good read on understanding that Blue Otter, they were investing a lot of that utility really early on just to try and make space on site, and SAD would instead look to react. They'd look for some of those fast floods back in. That's why you see they managed to get the post plans down a couple of times there on the side of Blue Otter with 7 in total, but only managing to find success out of 4 of them, and a lot of that was because SAD were quick to retake before any of those rechargeables came back up from the initiators on the side of Blue Otter.
Yeah, it felt like there was this weird hesitation out of Blue Otter of, like you said, using so much of that util early and then getting maybe blocked out by a smoke or something was making them hesitate on how to jump in. I wonder if this was a confidence being shook by Zeldris really meeting his match against Ferbsa Vans.
Yeah, exactly. If you're looking at the head-to-head, I mean, they both did pretty decent in their, well, let's say Ferbsa did way better. But I think Zeldris did very decently compared to what he was faced up against. As I mentioned before, you didn't have any opportunities here on the defensive side to really activate Zeldris. And by the time you're able to react on a trap play, there's already so many players from SAD Esports up ahead that it's hard for you to capitalize on a player's advantage or a numbers advantage and to be forced to fall back. So you saw a lot of these rounds that got super chaotic as soon as they got their first kill, and then they were just not as coordinated to go for the secondary, the third trade, and they just lost that space or at least the advantage that quickly. And if you look on the attack side as well for Blue Otter, it was very explosive, very attack heavy, very exec heavy, but also very one-dimensional. So once it got to a point where we're going to use all of our wave of utility to get into the sites, but it gets stalled by 1 or 2 pieces of utility on the other side of SAD Esports, there was no retaliation coming back and behind, which allowed Zeldris to find that timing outside of that second wave util and get so many kills.
And Ash, we were talking before this match started about how Zeke and Zeldris, they looked really synced up, and it was up to them on the defense to trap and do just that. And it was just unfortunate that it just couldn't come together, and for kind of what created this big gap in the score.
Yeah, it was really difficult, I think. And Vans hit the nail on the head for like the differences, the sacrifices that you're making there, right? And you look towards, I know we talked about Ferbsa a lot already, but even just like continuing to focus in on that and hopefully seeing some of the crazy plays that he was able to pull out, namely a couple of those reactive plays that I'm hoping that we'll see as well. Like these stats are absolutely insane at 2.5 KDA, 411 ACS, and just such consistency with those first bloods as well, just reacting really well to the utility that was being thrown out there. This is kind of what Ferbsa was known for. This is why he was so electric back in the collegiate scene, was his explosivity back when Raze was super strong before those nerfs came out. We saw him shift onto that sentinel role at a certain point last year as well, and I'm really happy to see him reprising the duelist now into 2025, because that is really where he shines.
And that's the other thing too, when you realize on the initiator side for Blue Water, there's no Sova Dart or a Sky Flash that's going to try to get you out of positions. You saw how free it was for Ferbsa to get high level positions or look over smokes and goes unpunished for free kills every single time because there was a lack of utility around trying to get him out of these spots. So if it wasn't, I guess that was the weakness around the composition of a Blue Otter, but they also have, you know, the other initiators that they're currently using, ways to push him away, especially with the fault line and the salvos, so that Zeldris could actually move forward and try to punish Ferbsa falling back. But we were missing a little bit of that as well to understand the positioning of where Ferbsa would play. So he was getting a lot of forward positions and getting great value out of it.
And let's compare those initiators and just kind of, you may even see in the assist column just how much they were able to do for enabling their team, whether on the Sky or the Breach. And Ash, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, I think that, you know, for when you're looking towards Zerona, the numbers don't look necessarily as good, but because he is playing a little bit more of that backseat role there for the side of Sad. Meanwhile, for Zeke, again, we talked about how he's consistently kind of like that second player in, third player in most of the time after initially setting up Zeldris and even flashing for himself and going for some of those engagements. So that's why you see it bolstered a little bit. Plus, on the side of Sad, most of the other players didn't really actually need to do all that much. Like, it's not taking any credit away from them by any means, but Ferbsa was just absolutely lights out. And we talked about that give and take for the lack of information. I think that when you're running this deadlock composition here on Bind and you're not playing as much of that push and pull, the Sky is a lot more forgiving. And I would have liked to see maybe some changes in tempo on the side of Blue Otter as far as how they're looking to fight for some of that some of that utility. It was often showing their cards very, very early on, leaving them with a lot less to work with into the mid round, and Sad capitalized off that very well.
Especially when you're playing double initiator with Zeke and Bob, where those salvos and the fault line could regen as well, right? So you could find that re-hit or another way to get a little bit of more map control if you're trying to scale a little bit more as a team here to go for your actual engagement into the sites. But if you're looking at it back at the stats, we haven't really seen it on that scoreboard because it doesn't paint the full picture. But you were just talking about the assist column here, Jen. And for both of them, they were both at 10 assists. So they both did like their job. One on the side of being more aggressive and be there with the fight, which is Zeke. And you saw that in the attempts of a lot of trap plays that they were doing. But on the side here of Zerona, less kills, but still 10 assists. And you saw it from the play style coming out from SAD Esports because they weren't getting heavily punished by the amount of util that was coming out from Blue Otter on the attack side. You had players that could play out in the open, just like Benji, for example, as a deadlock, getting a couple of kills, jumps away, but who's there to grace him and take him with open arms? It's going to be Zerona with the heals. So now you could be a lot more aggressive on those fights as well. And then you have still the advantage of having the Sky in your composition as to why you saw this type of playstyle as well from SAD Esports on defense, where they could allow themselves to be very aggressive.
I knew there was something special about Ferbsa when he pulled out the showstopper and got like a 3K of a group on a grouped up team like in the first couple of rounds. But let's now ignore the Rays matchup and look towards maybe a Jet mirror, as Haven will be our next map. This is chosen by Blue Otter, and now you hope that the 13-5 goes in their favor. Surely if it's their map pick, this has to be their strength, right, Ash?
Yeah, that's what it would look like on paper, right? A lot more reps for the side of Blue Otter so far within this first stage, having a bit more of that success on it as well. But at the same time, you do have to consider the caliber of opponents that they had been facing up against here in stage one. Sure, they take that win against Burger Boys, but there was a tough game that they had up against Rankers. And for both these teams, we're not going to see any changes across the board. And again, I think the question comes down to some of that information vans when you look towards the difference with the Tejo for Bob and then Sova for Dip there, where you do get a little bit more of that reconnaissance with the Sova play, and we just weren't seeing these combinations landing on Bind with that Tejo and that Breach the way we would have wanted to.
Definitely, but I think both opportunities for having this Tejo into Blue Otter still allows Zeldris to get some very forward positions that was kind of missing over at Bind, because now the map, though, the sites are a lot bigger and more open. So there is a great opportunity here to get the maximum value of that double initiator concuss from the Bob and Zeke, so that Zeldris could hopefully do something with Blue Otter here on their defensive side first.
Well, one of these teams could end off 3-2. The other could be on their last life in Challengers, one step closer to relegation. It is series point in favor of SAD Esports, but will Blue Otter turn it all around? Let's find out on Haven and with our casters, Bucks and Tenric.
Yeah, we are. That's us.
That is us. Woohoo!
Those are our names. It is now Blue Otter who would like to enable their firecracker of a duelist. The problem is they got to do it on the defense first. SAD Esports choosing the side that they want to excel at as their duelist continues to shake off the rust after a 28-kill extravaganza on Bind. Ferbsa looks to try to be a shining star of a SAD Esports that continues to have a rocky consistency. But Blue Otter, Ash raised a good point. Is this a forced perspective of where these teams sit in the Swiss? Is SAD just better?
I mean, really, in the middle of the pack here. Zeldris, okay, hold up a minute. I had an excellent point about the whole statistics and all that, but sometimes Zeldris is just going to make that difference happen. Dip trades it right back, though.
3.
Zeldris now going for a third. One spike isolated, so they're going to get in front of the fight. Bob gives herself away so that Zeldris can trade it out, but he can't properly, and so Tuzi restabilizes. Shondex wins one duel with the Ghost. KO in the second. Dip will take it back, and it's 10 HP that separates SAD Esports and their pistol round. You can make your point now if you want, Mark.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you're about to make a point, and then they just decide to go 5v5 and A long. And that's just the end of the round. I was going to say, we're really in the middle of the pack right now, given the fact that both of these teams are 2-2. And so it's at this point that we need to find out which ones are on the upper echelon and which ones are still trying to find their ground here, especially too as we get closer and closer to playoffs. This is a very explosive start to things. Zeldris a little bit probably frustrated from how that last map went, opens it up with such instrumental kills to really give Blue Otters a chance. But now it is going to be heavy weaponry coming in from SAD Esports. We're seeing the Outlaw in the hands of the Ferbsa himself. Looking for that first kill, can't quite connect, but able to scoop up the ultimate orb.
That gives him enough space to take the lane to start things out. To your point of Zeldris trying to get activated, while he's not necessarily one of the fraggiest duelists in Challengers so far, he is one of the best aimers out of the entire pack. Ferbsa will duck back immediately into a salvo and then has to run past another one, escapes the lane with 5 HP, and so Blue Otter's first attempt at playing the defense early goes very well. SAD Esports now have to reconsider, and aside from this spray and pray, will entirely consider a different site.
Yeah, just fantastic usage of that utility to really just muddle down the health of two very important members on the side of SAD Esports. Ferbsa down to only 5 HP, Tuzi as well on 5 HP, and this is pretty much just a trade for a little bit of damage onto Zostal. So overall, a good start for the Blue Waters, but they got to make sure that they maintain that momentum. And Zeke getting the spot out there should call for these reinforcements. As SAD now storm the castle. They should be able to get that spike down, though, nice and easy.
Another very early call, and now they won't feel as uncomfortable not using too much util entering this site. But Blue Otter, the sack is here early to try to counteract it with a dump of their own to make it a lot harder for SAD to commit to this. Thanks to the aftershock, there's a lot of time wasted, but they can't make it complete. They'll be at least handicapped on the retake, which is why Blue Otter will re-enter early, and now the gun diff really gets to shine, doesn't it? Still nothing coming out of the Link suite. Zoe stole the last one remaining, and it's a classic, so we'll just do our little waiting game until Zerona decides to pop out here.
Oh. Huh? Any second now? Oh, there goes the dart.
And there we go. Okay.
You called it. You called it. We were waiting for it. You called it. An excellent start to that, and I do think that how Blue Otter were setting up that stall, it was a smart idea, right? The only thing is that they don't really have the weapons, really, to push in as effectively as you would want them to. And so that's why early on you see that crossfire being set up between Zerona and Ferbsa just get so much value and just shred the Blue Waters apart. It's because simply they got the weapons for it, and Blue Waters really only had pistols there. So it was a good idea, but unfortunately not able to be backed up with the punch behind it. This time though, a lot of utility being tossed out already. Once again, we're seeing SAD Esports consistently pick up that ultimate orb out C long. They're going to be walking into Shondex with a lot of utility here, but they should have tools to deal with a lot of this.
Trapwire will get scoped out by this Owl drone, as SAD Esports want to guarantee this front half of the C site. But Zeke has actually wandered on quite early. Sweep up from Ferbsa. Zeke has to peek into the fray. Does catch Dip on the wander out, and Ferbsa still has yet to maintain a solid sightline to kill off of, which lets Shondex go for the wide swing. Ferbsa now just cleans it all back up, and Sad Esports just retain the site anyway.
In the middle of all of that destruction, Zeke's still able to find a couple of instrumental picks. Makes this definitely a possible round for the Blue Waters, but Zeldris at least has to find one away as well from getting that Blade Storm online. Could be another tool to make this one work, and there we go. Ferbsa goes down. Suddenly winnable for the Otters.
A risk that was potentially worth taking if Zeldris gets that aggro with it. A jump peek into the quick scope makes this a 1v1 that Zerona is stuck on behind this Radiantite. And Bob able to backdoor this spike as that's where it's planted. She can check as much
Bob
as she'd
knows.
like. Gun's gonna get spotted first. It's a guarantee. I've never been so excited for one person to clutch a bonus in my life. Blue Otter will save the round for themselves.
Oh, man. I mean, also, on top of that, too, Bob used to be on Sad. So it's kind of funny just, you know, Bob fighting against her old team. But, you know, Sad has completely changed over since that time. But still a really good round, all things considered, for Sad Esports. Keep in mind, they came into this one a little bit more of a bonus here, and a heavy buy up on the side of Blue Water. Thankfully, that operator will be able to stay alive in the midst of all of this, but still, economy-wise, Blue Water definitely aren't thriving. We're seeing Zostal pick up the judge. That's a sure sign that the money is not flowing. And thankfully, Zeldris does have that Blade Storm. Hasn't quite popped it yet, but I imagine, yeah, that's going to be the entry.
Yep. Much more confidence with this, but Trapwire catches in. Zeldris able to flush him out with these knives. Now a Hunter's Fury from Dip to try to re-aggress the line and get back onto this site. He actually will shred Shondex, and Zostal is also down to half. But Zeke still retains the presence on the site itself, and despite lacking in util, Sad lacks in position, so Blue have no reason not to hold this for the moment.
Top of that too, the fault line is expended here. Still has another flash available, but this repositioning from Blue Water will help solidify their defensive hold onto the site. Thankfully, these trapwires from behind are really just to catch anyone if they do decide to get a little bit too exploratory. But Zeldris is taking a lot of space, and Benji has no idea that this is going to be the case. This could be a little bit of a problem if Zeldris gets a timing, because they've completely slipped onto the backside, and look, Benji doesn't even spot it, spots it out just at the wrong time, though. The blades will reset.
A simple 1-for-1 at the end of the day could have blossomed into so much more on either side if only they looked the other way. And now we'll Joan to re-enter to confirm the 2 on the site. That's got to fully Peter Sad off of C and the shock dart. Scary for Zostal. Free plant on the B site thanks to all that pressure applied, but it will be another quick post plant. Very quick indeed. Zeke already getting the site, so Tuzi forced to smoke and TP out of the way. Now comes the flank from Bobsta as well. Dip is prepared for it, but swinging it loses the sight line. It's timing yet again that'll placate these two teams. And now it's the operator coming up the window. Zerona now timed out too. Cursed by the operator and by timing. Bobsta now gets to have her way with this reposition. And such good pressure placed on Tuzi to jump back out leaves an easy fight for the remainder. And Blue Otter, partially luck, partially skill. It is a second round for them.
You see?
I mean, with the positions that they were playing, it was a smart idea to go for that flank, a smart idea to get them kind of trapped in this weird no man's land in the middle of B. But the timing was just so good from Bob. You can tell she knew as soon as that first tap goes, people are going to set up their utility. They're going to set up to try and go back here. But, you know, just pops around the corner with the operator in hand and is able to take out the members hanging outside there. Zeldris doing an excellent job as well at shutting things down just a little bit. But honestly, it's just Bob with the operator really sealed the deal on that round.
Zeldris now has it back in his hands and will be watching down the A lane that has been smoked out early so Sad can feign higher presence. But it is just Benji on that lurk here as the Sheriff round looks to find some purchase early. Entrance up into the flooded B site. Zeke could use a lot of util here, but instead they'll just Armageddon down the middle. Bottleneck so that Zeke can find all of the kills, except for one. Dip will counteract and actually turn on to Bob 2. Finds 2 before finally getting grounded, and that should be enough of the Sad push. No more fuel behind the fire. Zerona having to peek everything dry at this stage. And with the Cypher ult, it'll confirm the position. Yeah, salt in the wound to give Blue Otter the lead here.
I feel like I could hear the audible groan come out from Zerota there as soon as the Cypher ultimate goes off. The Neural Theft Online, like, all right, come on. I've only got a Sheriff in hand, really, guys? But once again, like SAT Esports, they're just not able to walk into any of these sites very confidently. Of course, that last round, they were at a bit of a weapon disadvantage, but I think it's speaking to Blue Water's strengths right now. Zeldris is really looking like he's been able to come online. Bob has been an excellent vanguard at keeping a lot of these sites, especially too in some of these more pivotal moments. It's just really good stuff coming out from both of these squads. Zeldris, though, now getting pressured, has to back out of here as the fault line's going to find its marks.
And even the fault line onto Bob as well to make sure she can't fire through the sewer. Ferbsa catching Zostol on the reposition. And again, this is where the real push lies. SAT Esports, the timing is on their side this time around, and Blue Water will be forced to go for the post-plant crunch.
Oh, no
the
way.
spray! You're kidding me! Bob gets those every time, and now the plant can't even be fully confident. SAT Esports may have to reposition yet again, and with the Owl Drone down garage, that's what they're looking to do. Cypher Util caught on the C side. Do they take this risk? If you can kill Sean Dex, absolutely. There is your road. Zeke now the one line of defense to prevent this round from happening, and he'll play a damn good one against Tuzi at the very least. No smokes for the post plan in the 3v2.
On top of that, too, you're going up against Zeldris and Bob, who have been absolutely popping off these last couple of rounds. If you're SAT Esports, you have to be scared about this, but the Neural Theft will give the positions away.
Guarantees they don't have to watch anywhere other than Link until Zeldris decides to reposition up the garage, but the Rolling Thunder makes that an impossibility. They're not even going to take the fight. They're just going to take the position off of it, and an Aftershock to continue to stall, or excuse me, a fault line. Looks like SAT Esports will play for time before they have to play for fight. Good decision with the two players that you're playing in front of, especially if Zeldris can get the opening too, and Bob can finish it with the salvo for positioning. In a blink, it's over, and that's what SAT was trying to prevent. Blue Water, get back on and make it a 4-2 game.
No way that's how that round plays out. Just like you were saying, Tenrek, I thought for sure SAT Esports, man, we're going up against the army of two right now. Let's just back ourselves up. Let's play that time down. No need to go for the aggressive peak. And unfortunately, they do just that. And well, the Bob Zeldris combo comes alive and just shreds them down. Fantastic stuff coming in from Blue Otter. I mean, you look at the scoreline right now, you wouldn't even know that like Bob is carrying as much as Zeldris is, but these last couple of rounds, they completely have been taken to success because of those two players. SAT Esports, even on that last one, they tried to avoid them completely. They successfully avoided them completely, but it didn't change the fact that those two people left alone were able to do everything that they needed to.
Bob started on this team as the duelist for a reason. She frags, and Zeldris continues to lead the charge as the new duelist in tow, despite the ever-changing meta and the ever-increasing ceiling of challengers collectively. You saw the second match taking place as well between Core and Trust and Plug over on our B stream. If you have the space, feel free to watch that. Evidently, no Haven is safe at the moment. Both teams playing there. But these re-entries from Blue Water are clearly becoming too much of an issue. No sight completely clear, and of course so much of that has to do with the close quarters fighting that this composition is able to manage. Bob's salvos are proving to be so much of a thorn in the side of this pre-planned positioning on site for SAT Esports. Got to start getting rid of those controllers a lot earlier so that Bob is way less of a threat later on in the round.
Look at this, Zeldris already going for an aggressive peek. Spots out Tuzi there, but Tuzi able to sidestep that one. So at least they're aware of where this operator is. Ferbsa has the blades active, but Ferbsa has been struggling these last couple of rounds to get anything done. Has more or less just gone in and immediately getting shredded up. This is completely different from that last round, but an excellent start out. Bob, one of the members is down. That's going to be the reset on the Blade Storm too.
Insane aggression, but it's what has to happen on a save round like this. Ferbsa will escape still with the one, and that is Bob's to gone, so that clear game not nearly as good. Issue is SAT Esports, the one thing that they struggle with a gun comp like this is taking that space. So this is still the hardest battle of all. Taking default on Courtyard along with that space up C lane. It'll take a little bit of re-clearing, but this is the right site to prio. You'll know the lighter stack is here. Sure, there's the Cypher util, but if you can win that early fight, even chip away a little bit, you can hold on to the space on a site like this, even with shoddy guns, and make it work. Zostol will choose not to engage with this too heavily. Instead, let SAD waltz on, see if they walk into any of the util. Instead, they'll find a way to clear it out eventually. There's the LeBron wire. dip, nice shock wire. And there's the Rolling Thunder on top. Blue Otter entering nice and early, and they'll catch 2 off of it. Tuzi stuck in the cubby, easy flush from there. Ferbs is still a tough position to engage early, so it's got to be a clutch at this point rather than just a full-fledged fight. Still looking pretty decent with these knives, but on his head. 5-2 now for Blue Otter.
Damn. Sometimes crouching. Make sure that the headshots can't land, huh? Excellent crosshair placement from Ferbs, all things considered, but fortunately, yeah, Zeldris just pops the squat and is doing just fine. Honestly, it was such a good job holding on to that Rolling Thunder towards the end there. You can tell that the Cypher utility did an excellent job of stalling it down, forcing the hand of SAD Esports to really have to try to do something, and then the Rolling Thunder completely throws a wrench into their last-minute plan already. Blue Waters, they are flying ahead right now. 5-2 in this already. Ferbsa going in, punishes Zeldris though, so that's another key piece taken off the board.
Great read from Blue Otter thus far on the lack of a fully fledged lurk. They're playing that timer well. Shondex is backstepping really nicely to just retain as much intel as possible cross map. That's good because Benji's starting to make some space. Oh, Zeke early catch, dip nice refrag, and keeps the swing. Nice and clean from SAD Esports here on an important round going forward for the half.
Very slow now. We actually see SAD backing off. Play off of the space that Benji has been able to get, but Shondex goes for the reposition. Doesn't have any cyber cages, though. So SAD still should have a pretty easy time. Never mind, just doesn't deploy at the right time, and now a lot of information known about this flood. Are you kidding me?
Every player on Blue Otter a punji pit here on Haven that any player from SAD can unwillingly plunge into. Now, all the util in the world for Bob to work off of, slowly but surely. Ferbsa in Narnia looking for this girl.
That might be the undoing here, Tenrek.
Yeah, get back over there, buddy. You have a decent sight line from Link, though, so Bob, but you have all the space with the salvo. Okay, oh, but she prioritized Garage instead. Now she'll have to check the wide peak. Oh, she can't even do that.
Oh, spotted out
Unfortunately, yeah, it's just a time thing at that point. I mean, even if she wins this, yeah, there's no time. So, unfortunately, if Bob was a little more aggressive, that could have worked out better for her, but she just expected Ferbsa to be a little closer to the situation, so. A tough mental gymnastic that I don't think either player individually really lost, but it worked out for SAD.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I think there was enough conditioning going on from the last map that, like, hey, Ferbsa, super aggro, super stands ground, super will find kills. Yeah, that definitely is good English there. But as a result of that, Ferbsa kind of plays it more smart this time. Like you said, just going completely off-site. And Bob was left questioning, you know, Ferbsa loves pushing up here. Ferbsa loves being aggressive. So they should be pretty close by, and she second guesses herself, which actually works out perfectly for Ferbsa to find just the rundown on the clock. Zeldris, though, takes out Benji, going back for more here. It's already not looking good. Bob already on the back line somehow. SAD are on the point, but it doesn't matter. The Blue Waters are swarming and closing in fast.
Looks like they want to fight a little heavier to guarantee a worse post plant for him, and Zerona doing a good job of holding it down on site, but Zeldris is reinvaded with that operator. He is looking good as ever.
Oh my goodness.
You don't need to do that, dude. You have 4 players on your team right now that are alive, and you're doing that. That's crazy, bro.
You have 4 players on your team, so I'm gonna find 4 kills. Something will rich get richer.
I got yours.
Oh my goodness me. It's like the essence of Ferbsa has been sucked out of his body and just transferred over to Zeldris on this round. It's so aggressive with that operator. But, you know, the desk was highlighting Zeldris as this new duelist up and coming, fresh on the scene, making splashes for Blue Water. Pun definitely intended on that one. But unfortunately, Sad have no answer for it thus far on Haven. It's looking so solid, whereas Ferbsa, the star duelist we highlighted, is getting completely shut down just like that.
Yeah, it's Shandex that's been intercepting that more often than not. Has only faltered in the early team fights once or twice so far on this defense. Now Zeldris will take the helm. Operator that close on the pistol. Again, a risk that seemingly is worth taking for this duelist that wants to play catch-up here in the kill feed. It's 7-3 here for Blue Otter, and they continue to make statement round after statement round.
Yeah, and honestly, it's just like Zeldris peeking out aggressively with the operator, finds a kill, able to escape nice and easy, dips right back in. You expect that operator to run away? Nope, I'm gonna go for another one. Finds another one, and Sad are just left scratching their heads. It's very reminiscent to like a star duelist performance of just an absolute carry coming in. And you can tell that they're playing off each other really well. They're setting up these crossfires so that Sad are just walking into a firing range. Sad really had to start to pull things together. They've only got 3 rounds here. And it was off of the pistol and the bonus here. Zeldris pops the knives, already able to find one.
And they'll engage even heavier on the lane. They'll get this speed ran. Ferbsa and Benji returning fire and now have the presence inside the lobby. That being said, the rest of Blue Water kind of already on the scurry back. Benji! That'll be almost everything. And so Ferbsa given a 1v1 against the guy who has been stopping him more than anybody else so far this game.
Yeah, we were due for a Ferbsa round, weren't we?
He can go wide again here. It's what he did last time against Bob. And yeah, he'll go looking again down the B link. Shandex has the entire site to himself, but nothing to work off of. So Ferbsa, I mean, he can just take this dry fight, and he is the duelist. He is expected to win this every time. And gun already spotted. Shandex 100% spotted him too. So this will be full-fledged just 1v1 fight.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, Ferbsa has to swing on that, and he'll win it. So it'll be 4-7 for Sad.
Last round in the half.
Like I said, we were due for a Ferbsa round, and that was a Ferbsa round. It's when we see these moments of like a clash between these two squads. That's when we get those rounds where Ferbsa can absolutely just turn it up. Zeldris was getting a little bit aggro there, but in this time crunch, Ferbsa completely turns things up. Obviously, Benji did an excellent job finding 3 kills into the backline, but when it's all said and done, Ferbsa alone, like you said, is able to find those rest of those kills and make sure to seal out that round. We're going to be seeing the Blade Storm activated right off the bat. Oh, Ferbsa able to duck away, but all the ultimates coming out.
Yeah, trying to catch at least one member of this, but Blue Otter will just get even deeper into the picture here. And in fact, they'll stack even heavier as they're ready for this full-fledged fight. Ferbsa with the Judge now, trying to hold it through on the offense as the sewer push comes through, but it's a little bit stunted. And so Blue Otter is able to hold on to the majority of it and trade their way through the majority. That'll be an 8-4 half.
Yeah, like that time around, Sad were like, hey, if we just go fast, I think we can recreate success exactly like we did last time, and things should be good. Except Blue Water was a little bit more prepared for it. They hid inside of their smokes there. We saw Ferbsa swap away from the Judge in order to go for the knives, but that's simply because you don't expect the members of Blue Water to be just hanging out on the site. You would have expected them to back out because that's how the Otters have been more or less playing. Nope, not going to be the case. They just are hanging out there and are able to trade more than effectively and just even things out, allow enough time for Zeldris, the star right now, to come through and clean up the rest of the kills. So excellent job coming out from Blue Otter. 8-4.5, just like you said, we're swapping sides. But honestly, a map 3 is looking more than likely right now.
Yeah, this is looking really good for Blue Otter so far. If they're able to execute this attack well enough, then it should be sealed. And they look very hell-bent on making it work well for them. This is their map choice after all. They should have this very well practiced. Sad very highly stacked as well on C-site though, so they're not confident in planting this spike just yet. The stealth drone getting on top of the site to stop Tuzi, but Tuzi cannot be stopped. Good for 2 as they'll swing back, and Sad is fully here for the party. Sorona will grab 2 in the tail end as well, and Sad Esports handily win the pistol.
That was something. A little surprising to say the least. We get to see a little bit of the parkour bot at play by using the stealth drone just to completely jump onto the other side. completely overstepping whoever was on the other side of those boxes there, but then gets the information off of that. And based on that information, we see Blue Water decide to move in, but the stealth drone didn't ping everybody from SAD. And so as a result, it just sets up a nice opportunity where they blindly walk into a crossfire and they just get mowed down. So a bit of bad information from the parkour bot, but still, SAD, they still have their work cut out for them. We're seeing a nice big buy up here from them. Ferbsa with the Outlaw as well. Benji now has an inclination as to where they could be punching in from. We got that 3-2 split coming in from Garage as well, as the 2's going to be anchoring on back.
Spike down. C.
Early hold. Bob gets ahead of it nice and quick. Benji now alone on the site. He'll get pressured out just as fast. Zerona unable to get one too. Bob has extended so far and has actually run back just to get spiked too.
Spike planted.
Multitasking quite a bit this round, but it might work out in her favor as Dip also flunks on the smoke refresh and can't land a shot. Now it's Ferbsa on an Outlaw to save this, and he's searching in the cubby first. He can't guarantee anything until this salvo is complete, but at least time for Blue Water to rotate yet again. A high-low, a back forth, a left-right, and up-down, and everywhere. That's what Ferbsa's got to check. Impossibility. 9-5 now for Blue Water, a massive round for them.
Oh, absolutely. They just stormed them completely. I'm a little bit surprised at how easy they made that one look, but I think it just comes down to an excellent use of utility. We see the Paranoia fly in, completely cut off the sight lines of a lot of those SAD defenders, and then it's just a couple of picks on the site, and it works out perfectly. I thought this crossfire was going to be phenomenal, and yet Bob finds those headshots, and it works out perfectly. They're able to scoop up the guns with more than enough time because Ferbsa takes so long on that flank. This is a completely different Blue Water team than what we saw in this last map.
Yeah, this is looking like a really solid group. Much more practiced on this site, especially with their executes. A little trade for the rifle here for Zeldris as they'll open up the site. They should know of Dip's presence, and now they'll just fully confirm everybody on the site. The proc actually won't fully guarantee the life, but it will fully guarantee the site. Blue Water will hop on. SAD Esports, unsure of what they do here. They have some sheriffs, so they might want to play, but the way they're stacking here, it looks likely that they'll just wait for exits and see how much they can get on the way out so that they can set themselves up for a solid half.
Yeah, Ferbsa on that back line, sheriff in hand, might be able to come up with something, but given how much Bob has been cracking, never mind, okay. Shondex at least able to go in for the cleanup, but they're able to trade it back, so they are still getting value off these weapons. Suddenly, SAD have the numbers advantage.
Peeking down lane, though, and the double swings. Zeldris only good for the one. Zerona, the shot lands, and now Zeke has to trade it back out. The garage push has no real strength behind it, though, so everybody on site has to hold down in the smoke. Zerona playing the guard dog well, but Tuzi gets sprayed through. Half of the spike tapped, and now Zostal in the 1v1. But Zerona holding a knife out to try to psych Zo out. It was one hell of an effort from SAD that round, but Blue Water will hold on around 15.
It's like, oh no, I've run out of bullets in my pistol. Well, knife out of the smoke. Who wants to party in here with me? Turns out bringing a gun to a knife fight works out pretty well for you in that case. But yeah, it's a little bit of shenanigans there. SAD had an excellent attempt. Very solid headshots here, and Zeldris looking to find more value off that. Misses a pivotal shot, makes it a lot more possible. I think the knife landed. Yeah, it did. He needed to get one more, though, for that one to actually secure the kill. And this time, a very early Armageddon on the site, so we'll clear out a lot of those kill trips.
Yeah, oh, but SAD are gonna re-enter way earlier, and so Zeldris gets cut short before he completes on that space and gets the opening frag. Blue will have to work with the space that they've garnered, but Benji already cuts that short, and Blue are trying to affect Garage off of this with such a faulty stack. Zeke will still grab his, but this is such a split push at this point. Blue Water have no propulsion behind it, and so Ferbsa can wrap that up quickly. It'll be a 4-round gap, though, in SAD Esports. That was the stabilization they were looking for after a round like that.
That really was putting in the 1 step back, 2 steps forward mentality onto that last one. I think the phrase is usually the other way around, but they just back off the site just enough to avoid a lot of that incoming push from the Blue Waters, but they dip their head back in just at the perfect time to catch Zeldris off guard, and then they just storm in and storm over the Otters to stabilize themselves, and now things are looking pretty good. It's a bit of a shakier economy for this Blue Otter side. They do only have one of the ultimates. If we do see Shondex get one more, the Neural Theft will be available, but Zerona coming in with the Rolling Thunder. really make this a tough round for the Otters. So though Zeldris does have that rifle, and that is something that we cannot discount at all.
Yeah, one lowly peek from Sad, and this will all fall apart. Ferbsa might be the lab rat for it. C-Peak, the closest quarter so far. Blue Water will make the noise up garage first. Drone doesn't catch the trap wire. Ferbsa is now going to have to double back on this pressure. And as the util is unloaded, he'll start his peeking back and forth.
Wow.
Smoke up the lane to give Ferbsa only one responsibility as well.
Henrik, I gotta call out the fact that Ferbsa just being up there and getting spotted forced out almost all the utility from Blue Water.
Yeah.
So much respect is being given to Ferbsa, and that just made the round so much easier without a single bullet finding anybody.
He's still on the prowl. Shondex is going to get found. Blue Water is going to feel like they still didn't do enough. And so comes the Omen ultimate up to heaven. At this point, Sad Esports, they're not even concerned with a site like that. Oh no, Zoe's in hell, actually. And so Zorona has to pack that up quickly. Good for a second, but now Zeldris has been opened up, and there's that hero rifle going to work. The rest of Blue Water, minimal time, but even footing as Ferbsa re-enters and Zeldris misses the peak. Now the 1v2, and Ferbsa is lit up. 10-7 now as Sad Esports make the climb.
I figured it out. The duelists will only thrive if they're on the defending side. This was the case for the first map, and it's pulling through right now. Ferbsa very quiet on that first half, where we saw Sad Esports on the attack. Meanwhile, on the other half, Zeldris was absolutely popping off on the defender side. It's completely flopped around right now. Sure, we are seeing Zeldris get a little bit of value, but it's not that carry performance that we saw on that first half, where with a single operator can find 4 kills right off the bat. Ferbsa, meanwhile, is completely heating up, just 4 kills away from tying Zeldris up. It's 7-10, Sad, they're gaining momentum. It's a bit of a light buy coming in from the Otters. They don't have those full shields, but still, they've got the rifles in hand to make this more difficult for Sad Esports.
Big moves being made by Sad up the front line of A. Ferbsa retaining this as the lobby push is glanced at. Meanwhile, Tuzi oversteps up this mid line, something that Shondex has been searching for the past couple rounds. It'll finally connect and give them the Cypher ultimate to open up C-Site very cleanly.
Yeah, just an easy plant now for Zeke. The fact that Tuzi is down, you lose that paranoia. Zostal up top might be able to find a timing. But still a lot of ultimates. I'm looking at that Rolling Thunder. This might be the time for Zona to let it rip.
There he goes. He'll be on top of the site. Still so much in the way. A reactive Rolling Thunder tossed back, so the fight can't be properly facilitated, but Zorona still grabs his. Ferbsa is now on site with the Blade Storm and still searching for one, but everybody's too focused on the garage fight, and even still, Benji finds the one. Now Blue reopened the site itself, and they're still able to find a majority of the kills. Benji, the only one remaining, and probably doesn't have enough time to deal with both of these, especially if he can't miss the first. Zeldris keeps it packed, and Blue Water hold on to just enough weight to get that 11th round under their belt.
You could tell the discipline. You could hear a pin drop in the server before that Rolling Thunder went activated. Of course, they did have to wait for the Aftershock to expend, but you could tell both of these teams were so prepped for that ultimate. And the fact that Blue Water comes out on top is massive for this team. They're able to drain out that ultimate. And then as a result of that, you know, they still are able to walk away with the win. It's a little bit scattered there, but they're able to throw a wrench in the speed of the retake coming in from Sad, and that's what the most important factor is. Blue Water rarely forces the possibility of the map number 3. 2 more rounds separate them and that potential Lotus map, and it's already a trade. Zeldris goes down at the expense of Benji.
We will still try to press this lane, and with the opening blind, Ferbs is now actually stuck. The Aftershock fully flushing him out. He's got to get good for at least one more, and he does before getting traded back, but still the site is blues, and all too often that's been enough. Zorona started to line up himself, though. Bobsta with 3 as well. Some true stars starting to show out, and it leads to another 1v1 dip opening angle, but not a good shot to lead off of it. And with still this stealth drone in hand, Bob can actually recycle this intel trade, which she gladly will on top of the owl drone. Suppressed now, though, it's forced into a dry fight. Dip immediately spams through the blocks and reduces her to 30 HP. But it comes down to one shot, and Bob, she hits head. Stip, though, avoids the shot and gives Sad another chance at life here on Haven.
Oh my goodness me. The fact that it comes down to the 2 initiators as well. I mean, you take out Zeldris so early on. It's looking like Sad should be able to do it, and then Bob kicks down the door. Hey, remember me? I can shoot just as easily. Find many more kills too. Bob somehow keeping it alive throughout all of this, able to secure 3 kills, narrows it down to this 1v1, and Dip playing so intelligently with that Sova. We question whether or not the Sova versus the Tejo comes out here, but in those weird situations where it is that 1v1, given the annoyance, the tracking that the Sova offers, it's always going to be favored in that fight.
Have a much cleaner entrance this time onto C site again as Blue Water continue to rinse and repeat. What is their strongest attack so far? It's just about making sure they don't lose any flak along the way. This time the plant's behind the Radianite too. Off kilter, but Sad might have the read on it due to how close they were. Slow cycle of util to get intel though. You can't get too in front of the situation here, especially since Shondex also has that lurk that is now creeping up the courtyard. Enough time potentially being wasted here. Hunter's Fury from Dip yet again still finds one, and now creeping up the lane. Bob's to down to half. Shondex continuing the lurk, and it finally connects into one. Zeldris with 2 on the knives, and the crunch is fully realized. Blue Water completely descend, and it's down to just Benji, who can't survive much longer either. Blue Water make it all work out and have 4 rounds of room to take us to map 3.
An excellent flank coming in from Shondex. You could tell the idea coming in from Sad there. They were so ready to move in there, and then suddenly, what the heck? The push from Garage completely gets stifled by Shondex's presence. It's at that first pick, Furbs that flips around, trying to look for something. Doesn't find anything. It gets shut down completely. Suddenly, Sad are completely just isolated onto the site alone. And just like that, Blue Otter ready for Lotus. 1 round away from doing it. Sad will have 4 opportunities to potentially tie things up. They're also the ones right now calling for that timeout. You know, settle things down, try and figure out their way here. This looked so easy on map number 1. Once again, 13-5 on Bind, but on Haven, it's a completely different story coming in from these teams.
You really can't do anything other than mentally reset. The take and retake of this C site with these 2 metas is so formulaic. And at this point, neither team wants to take too heavy a risk. It might just be a full send push and a full send counter push that both teams just need to be hell-bent on winning. Sad can retain that confidence for 4 rounds, then we'll go to OT again. But Blue Water, this is where they're heading for a reason. I have no doubt they'll do it again to seal Lotus.
Oh, and on top of that too, Sad, they're on a discount buy.
Yeah.
Kick them while they're down. But to be fair, we did see them go for a pretty sick run when they only did have the pistols in hand. Just hoping that they're able to do something. Benji does have that ultimate online. On the other side, I'm watching Zeldris with the Outlaw. You saw how much damage a sniper rifle in the hand of that jet can be. I'm curious to see whether or not we're going to be treated to a similar style of gameplay.
Barely missing the timing here. Still no smoke down on the lane. Finally, it comes through after hearing that stealth drone, which will cover all of sight once more. Push as always, Zeldris spots the competition, vice versa, and opens up the shot onto Furbs. So with that Outlaw, that is finally confirmed. Sad Esports, what more can you really do? Shondex lurk caught early by Tuzi, but again, tough to fight it. You've got to take it slow. Now comes the reaction on the angle, early blind to stuff him out again. Blue Water can cycle this pretty well. There's that hero rifle from Dip, but immediately the Armageddon on top of a link, and Shondex is able to hold down all those opening angles that they're forced into. Wow. From there, it's a full-blown collapse. 13-8 victory here on Haven. We will be going to map 3.
Once again, we talked about the impact that Furbsa had on Bind. And this time around, it's completely flipped. The duelist on Blue Otter comes alive. Zeldris coming in and showing us what he is made of. an unbelievable performance. A lot of those operator clips, I think, are going to be circulating for quite some time because this is the momentum that we needed to see Blue Otter pick up in order to pull themselves forwards. On top of that, from the Blue Otter side, Bob, so impressive playing that Tejo. I mean, obviously, the utility, yeah, you could talk about how impactful it is, able to whittle down so much of the HP pools of SAT Esports, but at the end of the day, it was just Bob being able to frag out in some of these almost impossible situations where you just swing the mouse left, swing the mouse right, and click a head on both of those sides that completely stifled SAT Esports there. So an excellent map coming in from the Otters.
Frag stars, clutch potential, enabling potential on all sides. The story remains the same for both teams, and so the difference must lie in the map pool. Lotus is coming up after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
I think I'm getting used to it. They are my team. Some of them I play with college or played in college with, so I know most of them. So it's getting easier to get used to the environment and just overall the competitive scene. I think the stakes feel a bit different, but the competition, honestly, I'm not too nervous really. I think I've always expected myself to play at this level, so I'm not that nervous at all. Key factor for us to keep winning, honestly, just keep improving. I think we've only been together for a week or two now, so every day matters. Every day we put in work, and as long as we keep improving, I know we'll definitely be one of the top teams in Challengers for sure.